Hi YouTube and welcome to Healthy Hints of 5. Today's topic that we'll be discussing is migraines. I'm a migraine sufferer and I suffered from migraines since I was about 19 years old. I was diagnosed when I was in college studying for MCATs and just taking a lot on. And I noticed for my migraines that they last about a couple of days. Couple of hours if I take medication, but if I try to do it with no medication, maybe 2 to 3 days. And through the years, I have learned to cut that time down with a little bit of hints and tips that I learned from other migraine sufferers as well as my physician. So before I get into the little hints and tidbits on how to treat migraines and the little healthy hints that I have acquired through the years, I first want to discuss what migraines are and how they operate. Now, the definition of migraines is a throbbing or pulsating pain in a specific area of your head that is accompanied by sensitivity to light, sensitivity to sound, and usually nausea and or vomiting. Now, sometimes migraines, as I stated before, can last a couple of hours to a couple of days depending on the severity of your migraine. The first thing you do when you feel that you have a headache that isn't as normal as a regular headache would be is go check it out, because it might not be a migraine, it might be something more serious and more debilitating or life-threatening. Now, the way migraines work, and of course I have my information for you, is it works in 4 stages, and I got this from the Mayo Clinic. So the 4 stages are the prodrome stage, the aura stage, the headache stage, and the postdrome stage. So the first stage is prodrome, which happens 1 to 2 days before the actual migraine starts. And some of the symptoms in that stage is you might get irritable, constipated, you might have some neck stiffness, and you might yawn uncontrollably and have certain food cravings that you normally wouldn't have. So if you notice those changes within 1 or 2 days before your migraine, note that down. I always tell people who have migraine headaches, including myself, I got this information from my physician, is to write down, journal, have a migraine journal, and journal the symptoms that you get prior to the headache to see if it's what's triggering the migraine. The second stage, which is the aura stage, occurs right before or during the migraine, literally right before the actual throbbing and pulsate happens. And usually with aura, your vision is affected. You get visual disturbances, so sensitivity to light. Sometimes your motor skills aren't up to par. Sometimes you can't speak. I had a migraine one time where someone asked me my name and I literally could not say my name. I was stunned. I knew it started with a T. I knew my name. I just couldn't. My brain wasn't connecting for me to say it. So if you notice some of those symptoms with the sensitivity to light, not being able to function, your motor skills aren't quite the same, or you can't speak, you might be suffering from migraines. It also might be something more serious, such as stroke or something that you need an emergency, go to the emergency for. The third stage is the headache part. Excuse me. Most of the time people take something when that pulsating and throbbing and just debilitating pain, it's a pain I can't even describe. It just feels like somebody's taking a hammer in that one specific area and just constantly beating you, not really hard, but like soft taps on your head. That's how I'm describing it. If you don't treat the migraine with some form of natural remedy or prescription drug, over the counter drug, excuse me, I say that the migraine will last for a couple of days, and no one wants that pain for a couple of days. So if you notice that you're having the throbbing, pulsating pain in either both sides of your head or one specific spot in your head, the sensitivity to light, the nausea, and or vomiting, and you just feel like you're gonna faint, or you just feel like overtired or very fatigued, that's the attack part of a migraine. That's when you are getting the actual migraine attack. And that's that stage where you probably want to treat it when you start feeling in the aura or the prodrome stage, where you start to feel something a little different, but that might be something else. Like if you're constipated, it may not be a migraine, you just might not have had a great diet that week. I usually know during the oral stage where my motor functions are off and my vision is acting up, that it's going to be a migraine, and that's when I take my medicine so that I don't get the throbbing, pulsating headache part of it. And the last stage is postdrome, where it's the final stages of the migraine attack, and you kind of just feel very fatigued, very drained, and just kind of want to go to sleep and be left alone. That's how I feel. I know a lot of migraine sufferers, when they're at their stage where the attack has happened, they took their medicine. Even though the medicine makes the headache go away, the rest of your body has to catch up, and you do feel very, very drained and very kind of weak. So now that you have the 4 stages of a migraine and what each stage is accompanied with, here are some little hints to treat a migraine. Me personally, I don't really like my prescription. I was prescribed Imitrex, and for me, Imitrex, it makes the migraine go away. But for me, it heightened it, and then it made it go away. Like for 5 seconds, all the symptoms that I have got heightened like 2 times more. Like I took the Imitrex, and all of a sudden my head throbbed a little bit more. My eyes could not take any type of light, and my nausea I felt like any smell that came my way was gonna make me literally vomit. So that's why I didn't like the Imitrex. Some people they like the medicine that they were prescribed. I personally like Bayer migraine. It works for me, works for my body. I take it and I do wonders. It does wonders for my migraine headaches. I also notice when I take caffeine, mainly black coffee, and I'm not a coffee drinker, so for me to drink coffee straight with no sugar, no cream, is disgusting. But for me, it works so well. It calms the migraine stage down. Like I usually get all 4 stages. I usually know that I'm about to have a migraine about 2 or 3 days prior, but I try to make sure, like I do get the stiff neck and the jitters, and I get a little irritable, but because my migraines usually are triggered from my menstrual cycle, I kind of sometimes contribute like it's my period, so I'm probably just irritable because I'm going through the hormone imbalance. But I know when my eyes are sensitive to the light, and I start to like slur my speech, because I'm not a stroke victim, I usually contribute it to, I'm about to have a migraine, and that's when I start to treat it. I don't wait for the pulsating throbbing to happen. I usually get some caffeine in my system. I usually stop what I'm doing, rest, try to de-stress myself. If it's because I'm on my cycle, I try to take some medicine to get my, I'm not going to say my hormones back in balance, but I try to combat the headache from happening. If the headache does happen, I take my Bayer migraine and I relax. I tell everyone I'm going through a migraine. Leave me alone. Let me relax. Let me take my medicine. Let all those factors work on me. Now, the one thing I will say that helps me to figure out how my migraines operate is journaling. I suggest everyone, if you are a migraine sufferer, to write down the time, the date, what you feel triggered the migraine, how long it lasted, what symptoms was accompanying by it, and to do that every single time you get a migraine, because there might be a pattern to your migraine. When I journaled it, it was a week before my period every single time, and I got sensitivity to light, a little bit of slurred speech, and the headache. And I noticed it lasts a couple of hours once I rest, once I took my migraine medicine, and kind of de-stressed myself too, because I do get them when I'm stressed out. Those were my triggers, and that was my migraine pattern. So please write down those specifics in a journal. And when you go to your physician, take your journal with you so that they can find a form of treatment that is specific for you. My doctor thought maybe being on birth control would help my migraines. And it did help it, but birth control kind of also made me sick. I didn't like the way I felt on birth control. But my changing my diet and changing my sleep habits helped tremendously. Getting a full 8 hours of sleep and trying to go to sleep every day at the same time helped me with my migraines. So get a good night's sleep, be rested, and also incorporating a lot of water. Now, I like water. Some people don't like water, but my physician also suggests being hydrated. And so those are my tips, just to make sure you get enough rest, to journal, to make sure you write down the specifics of your migraine, and to see what works out for you. Trial and error. The caffeine and the Bayer migraine and rest work for me. Somebody might, like the prescription drugs and meditation. Some people actually go to, therapy to figure out a great treatment for their migraines, because it might be psychological reasons why you have migraines, i.e. stressing over something, anxiety over something. So I suggest just finding out what the best method for you is, because everybody is different and everybody has to treat their migraines different. But the little hints that I gave you, caffeine, I swear by a cup of coffee. When I get the sensitivity to light, swear by it. As soon as I drink it, my migraines, the symptoms calm down. And I also swear by rest. Get 8 hours to sleep. If you gotta sleep, go to sleep. I know it's hard when you're working and you're going to school and you got the kids, but if you are a migraine sufferer, that is one of the best things you could do, is just go somewhere and relax and rest your body. So I hope these little tips helped you guys out, and I will talk to you on the next video. Live well and live long. Bye.